Welcome back to the Daily News Network. Time for another edition of Business Champions. I'm Brian Sexton, your host. My co-host, Paul Lajoie, is on assignment this week, which means I get more time with our fascinating guest from the Bay Area, calling all the way in from San Francisco, Wayne Boatwright with Boatwright Consulting. Hello, Wayne. How are you?
Good, Brian. It's great to be here, and thank you for having me on.
We are excited to have you on. San Francisco is such an amazing, creative city. You think about all of the startups and all of the technology that has come from the Bay Area, and there you are, right in the middle of it all with a background rich in technology and consulting and creativity. How did you get started with Boatwright Consulting?
Well, it's interesting. You know, we all have that name. It's pretty boring, right? But look, I started with Accenture, which is a global consulting firm. I had a global position with them and got bit by the startup bug here in 1998 through 2000. And so I decided to leave my position as an in-house attorney and work directly with startups and work with these engineers who are coming up with all these brilliant concepts and brilliant new ideas. The world is changing so quickly. And I've been able to work with them on a lot of different companies, and it's kind of given me a new way of looking at the world. In fact, if anything, I would say the world's pretty much an inverse of what we think it is. It's like we're looking at the world through a mirror, but the real world is the exact opposite of what it appears to be.
You've been in San Francisco, as you mentioned, since the late 1990s, and it's such a creative, imaginative city. So much of what we use every day to interact in business and in personal life has come from just south of you there in Silicon Valley. How has San Francisco, if you don't mind my going off on a little bit of a tangent, how has San Francisco taken a boy from Southern California and opened your imagination and your creativity in your business world?
Well, for me, it's because I had lived in other countries for quite a while. Lived in Argentina for 2 years, lived in Korea for 6 years, and then this global position at Accenture. That same mindset that comes from exploring new territories and new languages and new cultures is exactly what I found here in Silicon Valley. It's a magical place where new things happen every day, and it's about changing how the world works. The term we like to use is disintermediation. Sorry, consulting word.
It's a big word.
Basically, right? We're getting rid of the middleman here is basically what we're doing. And I think a way of characterizing that is technology. We used to have experts and consultants who'd help us find a needle in a haystack. That's what you used them for. But what technology gives us now is it gives us a needle stack. We have too many good ideas. We have too much information that comes to us, and we get overwhelmed by it. And so what I'm learning is how do we use and develop new tools, new epistemologies, new ways of thinking to live in a world where it's not really what you know, it's how you ask the question.
Oh, that is very deep. It's profound when you think about it, how you ask the question. It used to be when you and I learned something in school, they wrote July 4th, 1776 on a blackboard. We knew it was Independence Hall. And then the internet comes along and it teaches you to know where to go to look for the information. And now, as you just put it so succinctly, it's how to ask. So let me ask you, where do you find your creative, your imaginative inspiration for the clients that you work for? You mentioned there's too many ideas. Where does your creativity come from?
Well, for me, it's rebuilding I call it my psychic delusion house. So forgive me. I had to rebuild how I see the world. And with that, I've developed new tools. And I kind of have 3 different ways of, I look at, this isn't a chance to teach somebody something. It's about changing one's orientation so they see the world in a different way. That's what I try to do, is to give them tools so they can see the world in a different way. And I call them the knife, the spiral, and the unified field. Those are my 3 concepts that I try to educate people with and what I work with all my clients. For example, Dahlia Sales is the current one I'm working with, where I'm dealing with the California Yacht Brokers Association. And then from there, we're going to do the International Yacht Brokers Association. And then from there, we're going to deal with the hospitality industry in Oregon, dealing with both hotels and restaurants. So there's a lot of business going on now as people are trying to figure out how to take advantage of AI and to use this new world. And what I'm trying to do is introduce them to those three basic tools: the knife, the spiral, and the unified field.
That is, each one of those is a conversation in and of itself. Let me ask you about AI though, real quick, because you can't hardly have a conversation in our world today without talking about how artificial intelligence is impacting business and personal lives. How have you seen it in your business?
Well, you've probably heard that it's moved on from just asking questions into agents, the agentic mindset, which is we create different tools to give us different accesses to the internet world. If any of our guests out there are listening to this show and they have not purchased one of the LLM models, the large language models like ChatGPT, and we can focus on that one, it only costs $20 a month. Get it. Cancel your cable, pay ChatGPT or Perplexity or any of the other mainstays out there. All of these large language models are offering a similar universe of how we work. You have to have one of them if you want to work in the new world. I use ChatGPT, for example, and I've developed my own GPTs. I've got about 5 of them that I've created so far.
Wow. You're a busy guy with a lot going on around you. So let's end on this thought. Who's the ideal client? If someone is watching this right now and wants to tap into that Northern California creativity and Wayne Boatwright's imaginative approach to see the world differently, the psychic delusion rebuild, what type of client is best suited to you?
Well, I look at it as the guy who already thinks he knows everything. Because my real process is to help people unlearn things. The world is a very different place. The digital realm, I call it, that we live in, is the inverse of the physical realm that we exist in. And if we're going to live in that digital realm, we have to start thinking in the ways that the digital realm thinks. One of those, for example, is instead of using linear sequential thought, think of it like going through the orders 1 through 10 of the different steps of doing something. Well, now the world is a unified field. It's more like a globe. And that globe is how we have to look at things three-dimensionally, not linearly, but as a globe. So I think that's the first takeaway I'd give to somebody. If you're still thinking in linear sequential thought, you need to think in a unified field, and that's where I come in.
And that's why you need to call Wayne Boatwright. So how do people connect with you, Wayne? What's the most efficient way for them to find you to learn to think globally instead of linear?
Well, it's interesting. The world has changed a lot. You see a lot of people with their own websites and their own information. Just go to LinkedIn. If you want to know how to use the knife, what I call the first tool, go to my LinkedIn profile. It's Wayne Boatwright, pretty easy to find. Happy to give you a 30-minute consult on how to think in new ways.
Looking forward to it, but more importantly, I'm looking forward to you coming back and explaining the knife and the spiral. Many more conversations here on Business Champions are ahead, my friend. Look for the invitation coming soon.
Thank you.
Wayne Boatwright's joining us from Boatwright Consulting, and that'll do it for this edition of Business Champions. We'll see you next time, right here on the Daily News Network.
BizBuy Pro supports individuals through the acquisition process in many ways. First and foremost, we can find a business for you. You come to us and you give us the parameters geographically, size, like maybe 2 million in revenue, and maybe an area. You want to be a plumbing contractor, and we'll go find that for you. I think really the most important thing from BizBuy Pro is after you find that business, working through the valuation, how much you're paying for it. As I always say, you don't make money when you sell, you make money when you buy.